Welcome to Digital Imaging. My name is David Miessler-Kubanek, and we're going to basically go through some announcements and then get to the fruit plate project presentations. So, hopefully, everyone got the message that I sent out with the COVID help information. And if you need assistance, economic assistance, please reach out and see what can be done to help you. Everyone's in a different situation, but we're all kind of struggling in our way. The next thing on there is the video game typography video. You're not required to watch this, but I think it might be interesting, especially if you're interested in going into the video game industry. And then for assignments, if there's anything that you haven't finished or would like to redo from the before time, please resend that to me. If the project is locked or something, let me know and I can open that. But I'd like for everyone, if at all possible, to get in all of their assignments for the semester. And most of you have already found out where to upload your fruit plate project, and that is in the fruit plate project final assignment on Talon. And you should have your PSD layered file there and your write-up. And today's format for the presentations is going to be very simple. It's just going to be similar to what we've been doing, except that you're going to be doing most of the talking about your project, uh, what were your chief design decisions, what was working really well, what's still challenging for you. So, you should be fairly comfortable doing that. And then lastly, not going to have class together on Thursday because I need to run a trip out to Michigan for some family stuff. But I do want you to continue working on things, especially the montage project, which is due next Tuesday. And we can talk about this a little bit more later on at the end of class as well. And then the collage project will be due. So I want you to continue working on those to the best of your ability. And then we'll just keep in contact. But please have an update on your montage, especially for Thursday, where you're at, because we're really not going to have much time before they're due to talk about them. And if anyone has any questions about them or would like to talk with me one-on-one about any challenges or anything, please email me and we can figure something out. Any questions at this time? Okay, so I have your names in a text document to help me keep track of who's here and who's gone. So I'm just going to go alphabetical by first name, starting with Ash and ending with Seamus if he shows up. Otherwise, it might be Ryan as the last person today. So I'd like to ask everyone to get their fruit plate project up and ready to present. And then we will start with each one of you presenting, talking a little bit about it, and maybe a couple questions from me. And if anyone else wants to ask a question of your classmates, I think that's cool, right? We don't want to take too long with each one, but we've reserved most of this time for this part where we discuss our work as professionals here. So Ash, whenever you're ready, please go ahead and share your screen with us.
Okay.
Go ahead and talk to us about your design decisions for this.
Well, for me, I decided to have fruit around the muffin
Mm-hmm.
because the muffin's kind of out of place because it's not a fruit. I think the challenging part was just trying to make it a little bit different, like making like shadows to the piece.
Mm-hmm.
And then was the plate itself. It took me a while to try to take out the the salad to it, so that's
Mm-hmm.
what took a little bit while.
What are you
Uh,
most proud of with this?
probably try to put the fruits together because I always have a hard time trying to mask things out.
Cool. Does anyone else in the audience, in the class, have a question for Ash or a comment?
I think you did a really nice job with the shadows behind that apple and the behind the muffin.
I really like how you used like that one strawberry and repeated it in different ways. Because the strawberry and cherry mix was like very hard to match. So that's what you did with those.
Yeah, those are really great observations. Anything else from you, Ash? Questions or comments or anything?
Nope.
Okay, well, great job. Thank you for sharing with us.
Thank you.
All right, Gusto.
Yeah, I'm ready to present, but I have been having some internet issues, so I
Okay.
just feel like I should let you know.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Talk to us.
So I mean, don't really know what to say.
So, why did you decide to do this? What were some of your major design decisions?
Oh, I really wanted to make a face, and I feel like the top part kind of resembles one, but then I struggled a lot in the bottom half, with the images we had.
Mhm.
But yeah.
I can see a face there, and maybe it's because you told me, but I see the grapes as like a beard or something, right?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to go for.
Yeah.
The mouth is what just got me, and
I kind of like it because it's not like a straight mouth. It's kind of like at an angle,
yeah, I guess.
Yeah. So what did you think was your biggest challenge with this?
I'd say my biggest challenge was the plate itself, because even though we just had to mask out the salad, it's complicated to have a good design where you show off the plate you have when you barely have a plate at all.
Mm-hmm. And what are you feeling is most successful in your design?
I feel like the lighting works out. At least it doesn't stand up to me as unnatural,
Mm-hmm.
even though it's not perfectly even.
Yeah, I think you did a great job. Any comments or questions from anyone in the class?
I think that since he was going for that face look, it like came out really organized. And I like the organization in it. It looks nice. And I think he did a really good job on the shadows too.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, man.
I think if this was like part of, say, like an editorial illustration, like for a newspaper magazine that had a story that was talking about like you are what you eat or something like that, like eating healthy, probably the muffin wouldn't be there. But if I could see someone placing that plate of food and then put it like on something that was more obvious as a body, and then like the plate with the fruit as the head. You know what I'm saying?
I could see that.
Yeah, like a very abstract shape for the body that you could recognize easily, and then and then the headline would kind of link it all together. So I could see a place for a design like this, except for fun, and fun is fine, but I could actually see a functional reason to design something like this, right? If you have a story or something that goes with it that's about healthy eating, or whatever, or if you're talking about the nutrients in the food being part of you or something like that. Yeah, good job. Thank you very
Thanks.
much. Yeah. And Bree, are you able to present?
Yes.
Awesome.
So, can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay. What I did for my design is I
Mhm.
wanted to put the larger fruit, like the longer ones on the outside, such as the bananas and the grapes, to kind of like hug everything on the inside of it. I think what works well is the placement of fruit, and I think I did a pretty good job on sizing.
Mhm.
The one thing I don't think is working as well as I would like it to is the shadows. What I would do differently next time is probably like have a visual, set something up so I can actually see it in like real life.
Mhm. Yeah, I think the shadow on the glass isn't too bad. The shadow under the plate and especially the muffin, because there's a little bit of like white under the muffin from probably whatever was around it, just kind of makes it look like it's floating. But overall, I think you've done a great job, and thanks for moving it out a little bit more. What I would probably suggest is you moving the whole composition just a little bit down more, so that the glass is not like right near the top. But
Yeah.
I think your lighting and everything on the plate works really well. But let's get some comments or questions from the class. What do you think, Noah?
Sorry, what was the question?
Yeah. So what comments do you have for Bree's design here?
Oh, sure. I like the touch she added with like the reflections in the plate. That's not something that I even got to, and I think it works pretty well for the most part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think she's doing a really great job. So like, if you look at those blue grape things, there's these little like white stick ends that I would recommend people blackening or something because they really pop out. I don't know if you can see that, Bree.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like two that really kind of like pull your attention away. Like, what's that? And it might be a reflection, it might be something in the original photo, but that kind of I think is a little detail that pulls you away from like the fruit itself. But otherwise, I think and that's not anything I'm going to take points off or anything for anyone, but just like one of those little things that as you get more comfortable doing these, you'll start seeing those and be like, oh, I need to like take care of this. But yeah, the reflections, I think you've done a really great job with.
Thank you.
Yeah, Kaylor, are you here?
Yeah, sorry, my mic was being weird.
That's okay. All right, so go ahead and talk to us about your design.
So I kind of went with the more simplistic approach. I say that, but I did a lot of shading. But so I have the orange juice over here,
Mm-hmm.
sort of visually offset by the chocolate and muffin on the left side.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of very subtle, but I think that kind of worked out.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like the shadows that I did, but like in some cases, like right here, I realized that since I have the shadows going down the table here, then these would be covered right
Mm-hmm.
here. And then I did change the orange slice, just
Yeah,
kind of rotated it down.
I feel like the orange slice shadow makes it look a lot more realistic in there
Oh yeah, it
now.
looks a lot better.
Yeah, and I like the shadowing that you have that's coming over those blue things. Like it just sort of creeps over and then extends off. Yeah. So I
And I
think.
also used a
Mhm.
lot of layers. Like,
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah,
then
and
like
see, so not that every design that you're going to do will have a million layers, and I love that you've named them. That's awesome, especially if you have to hand off your project to another person, right? Having it just be copy layer 42 doesn't really mean much when you're going through the files. So yeah, this and like I said, you don't necessarily have to have this many layers from project to project, just depends. But when you get really more into the sort of, you can see like how you can customize, like a small segment of a piece to kind of change the lighting, because lighting changes over the surface of everything. And so it's really important. Like I really like how the chocolate and everything kind of like that lighting is pretty good. You really push this to your advantage with this background and the lighting. And so you probably saved yourself a little bit of work from some other areas. So I can still see like on the plate near the bottom right, a little bit of white edge by the shadow.
oh yeah, I see that now.
Yeah, so I don't know if that part the part on top yeah, I could see how that would be there. But the part on bottom, I don't know if we would see that white edge. Like it might just be that dark blue. So like little things like that, you'll just get more and more accustomed to looking for and seeing. And like your glass, the the back half of it doesn't quite look smooth enough. Like it looks a little bit ridged.
Oh, like right here.
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't know if I would want to drink from that side of the cup, right? So just little things like that as we do selections and as we do masking and things, like and sometimes it just takes a little bit of time away from the project too, or another pair of eyes. That's kind of like why we're here. Like, I'm here to give you feedback, and you're also here as classmates. And so, like the objects through the glass, like that table through the glass, like how much would that be distorted in real life, right? So those are things to just pay attention to for future classes as well, if you or projects if you do this for a living. But let me open this up to the class. Any comments, questions, thoughts from anyone else?
I think it looks really cool and dramatic. That there's like a little bit left of a white line at the bottom of the plate that kind of throws me off a little bit. But it's so minor compared to the drama of the rest of it that it works really well.
Yeah, I think that this is one of the few fruit plate projects I've seen that has a kind of tone because of the lighting, because of the way you shaped it. And I think that's really good. Keep that sort of skill set in mind as you go forward. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. Next on my list is Galena. Are you able to share today?
Yeah, I have it. Just a second.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, can you see it?
There it is.
Okay.
Go ahead and talk to us about it.
So I like how the composition turned out, with the glass on the side and the
Mm-hmm.
muffin kind of off center.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the perspective in the background also worked pretty well. It is a little bit flat. I really struggled with in between the different fruit, like doing the shadows of the overlapping fruits. So I think that's an area that could be improved on.
Mm-hmm. The plate to me seems like I see the reflections in the fruit, and the edge is very clean. The shadow is very light, so you had a good touch. But to me, the plate feels a little bit maybe too flat, maybe.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, there are like between the muffin and the kiwi and stuff, there are some. But you, like Livia, did a great job with those blue things and some other shapes too. Um, and if you're ever like Kaylor, how did you get that dramatic lighting, or anyone, like go ahead and ask each other, right? Or like, hey, I want to make like a fruit face. Gusto, walk me through that, right? That's totally fair. But I think you've done a really great job here. There, there's always something that we can do to improve on anything. So I want to open this up to the rest of the class as well. What does anyone else have to say?
I
I like.
honestly want to
Oh,
know, how did you do the feathering in the shadow over there? I don't know if that was magic, but it looks really good. Like the shadow in the cup.
Oh yeah, I just so I did the drop shadow thing, and then I distorted it. And then I took actually just a paintbrush, and I turned or the eraser tool, and I turned the opacity of it down and just kind of erased the edge a little bit.
See, that's taking like a drawing skill, right?
Yeah, that looks really good.
It does. Yeah, and see like how does the shadow change if it's partially transparent? Like I can understand a solid shadow with the juice in it, but once you get up near that top, does that change the opacity near there? Um, I like what I like too is that you have some of these fruit redistributed, like the blue things you have a little bit over here, over there to kind of pop out. They're not just all clumped together and that's it. So I think that was very smart for you to do. And someone else was speaking too. Who was that?
it was Brie. I was
Hi,
gonna
Bree.
say the same thing you just said about the blue things being scattered instead of clumped together in one spot.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I,
Who's ever speaking?
I mean, I like what she did with the glass, especially at the top of the glass. I mean, the
Mm-hmm.
transparent. It looks great. I like it so much.
Yeah, like I don't feel, and this is nothing against Kaler, obviously, but I don't feel like I'm going to cut my lip on the glass rim, right? It looks smooth. It looks like how we might expect it. Now, there might be a little bit, the edge that's furthest in the middle might have a little bit of a darker ring on it too. So again, just trial and error, just looking at things, studying things, and I'm being super nitpicky here, right? I just want people to just pay attention to what they're seeing for when they're working on this. But it's you're all doing a really good job on this. It's just one of those things that as you get better at it, then you see more issues with it, and then you get better at it. It's just sort of like ebb and flow of image work. So well done.
Thank you.
Yep. Haley, are you able to present?
Yeah.
Let's go for it. All right, let's talk about this.
Okay, so I decided to use the larger fruit behind and then kind
Mhm.
of cascade the smaller fruit throughout it, so that way they were not hidden. Something I found difficult was kind of making the plate look realistic, how it
Mhm.
was in the salad plate originally.
Mhm.
I don't know. It was just, I don't know how to describe it. It was just weird. And then something I think I did well was the reflections.
Yeah, like that's a really shiny plate.
Yeah.
The one thing if I remember correctly, the fruit plate has kind of an indentation area.
Yeah, that's what I
Right.
found difficult about
Yeah,
it.
so if you mask that off too much,
Mhm.
then the plate looks too flat.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's what's happening with some of these. And for some of you, you're like, I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to push my fruit to the edge so they can't see that. That's fine. But I think there's a lot of great stuff going on here. The lighting is a little bit uneven here and there, but I still think your shadows and things are getting much stronger, right? So I think like your muffin and your plate and your glass sort of feel like they're in the same plane together. And I think you rearranging the food has really been beneficial for this.
Yeah.
What does anyone else have to say?
I think she did a good job of the the global lighting of the picture, like making the fruits look like the lighting is the same on all of them, because that's something I really struggled with.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like she did a good job on it.
Yeah, I really like these are all great because you always find something new to look at. And like the cherries, like the banana that's falling down behind the orange, I like how that's working, and the strawberries look distinct. So yeah, great job.
I think the cherries look well cut out. I had trouble with that image. I substituted my cherries for an outside image, but
Mhm.
I think they look nicely like cut out.
Yeah, very good. Thank you, Haley.
Thanks.
Keaton, are you able to present either audio or through chat?
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, you sound like Mr. Roboto.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
It's kind of cool, but I don't know if it'll work. I love it too. All right. Are you go ahead and speak. Let's see what this sounds like. If yeah, if if only the harmonizer will work, let's do that. Okay. Well, can you type in the chat? Go ahead and pull your image back up and then yeah, type in the chat. But still you're still able to present. It just won't be the same. So go ahead and share with us your design decisions for this. Okay, so I'm just going to repeat this to everyone. Well, I had some trouble gathering all the objects in one spot to look good, right? Okay, plate 2. So what was your biggest challenge? Okay, cool. And what do you think is the most successful design thing that you did here? The orange juice, glass, some of the shadows, and the background. Yeah, the orange juice glass looks pretty good. Shadows good. Your orange in front looks really strong too. you got some really good shadows that make things look like they belong together. The one thing that still, to my eyes, doesn't quite look right is I don't know if the plate feels like it's sitting on the counter as well as it could. But the things on the plate, to my eyes, look pretty well done. What else? Any questions, comments from anyone else in the class? What do you think, Keaton or Mitchell?
I think overall the composition looks really nice, but the edge kind of fades off on the bottom, so it doesn't 100% look like it's on the table.
Yeah, yeah. There's like a. It almost. Yeah, the width of it diminishes too much. Yeah, and we would expect some kind of shadow or something underneath there potentially. The plate mostly looks good. It's just that sort of like it's not quite there yet. Yeah. But overall, I think it's a really good job. And I think that there's enough reference information in the background to let us know that this is in a kitchen. And, a plate like this, you expect that to be in kitchen or dining room or something like that. Great job. Thank you. Livia, are you able to present?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. All right. Talk to us.
I took a lot of time like going in and working on the shadows and the reflections. I think that was the most difficult part after like trying to do all of the masking. Um, I think the layout I had planned was decent. I kind of just like went in and looked at the pictures when I was doing my sketch
Mhm.
to see like what kind of stuff I would like want to cover up, like the strawberries and cherries.
Mhm.
Um, and I think that worked out well. And then I also used the perspective tool on the glass and the muffin because I think they weren't like exactly on the same level. So,
Right. So to my eyes, I think your muffin still looks like it's floating just a little bit.
mhm.
And your plate, the back of the plate might feel like it might be off the counter just a little bit, like a little bit too high.
Okay.
And it's probably that perspective change from your plate and the background image.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think you did a great job with the perspective change on the muffin, the glass. And your shadows and reflections and things are really good. And you've kept this sort of consistent sort of like muted or duller lighting, right? And the cherries next to the strawberries stand out. But I'm going to open this up to the class for comments and questions.
I think the quality of all of the fruits that are on the plate is super high. Like it actually looks like it's in that space for sure.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I feel like the lighting, except for like I'm still harping on this, but except for like two or three of those grapes that are still very shiny compared to the rest of the fruit, um, I think everything very much looks like it belongs together in the same lighting and everything. And also like the sort of like presentation of it, it I feel like kind of brings us in because it's kind of at like this hill that goes up to the back. So I feel like, I'm kind of like going into it. So I think overall it's good. As a person, I'm a little bit concerned about the glass being so close to the edge there.
Oh, yeah.
But that's just me living with someone who's a little clumsy in the house. But yeah, I think you've done a really great job here. And like I keep saying, everything you do here, just keep building on it for the future. Yeah, I think these are really awesome looking kiwi.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing that with us. Okay, Mitchell,
All right.
go ahead and talk to us.
Okay, so overall I feel like it turned out pretty well. Or at least I'm happy with how it turned out. The part that was probably the biggest struggle for me was the glass because for whatever reason I when I put the glass into Photoshop, I haven't seen the glass look like this on other projects, but it looked like oddly warped. So I had to fix that. Maybe it was just an issue because we had some issues back when we were still in the classroom
Hmm.
with getting some of my files
Hmm.
um, over to the PC. But that was an issue initially, so I just had to mess with the perspective and even change it up a little bit. But overall, I liked where I ended.
Good. kiwi slice next to the apple, those seeds seem intense
These
in
ones
there.
right here.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm like, is this kiwi okay? um, I feel. Let me see here. Yeah, I guess this is an interesting contrast to some of the other plates because a lot of the plates are very full, and you're kind of like, I want to see more of the plate. Here's this and that, and maybe um, you've got 2 large strawberries in front of the apple and one smaller one next to the muffin,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't see a cherry. So like maybe what you could do, I kind of feel like there's not enough space in front of the red apple for both of those strawberries as big as they are,
Okay.
given the space there. Maybe what you could do is just substitute like a cherry or something in there since you've already got a strawberry in the background. And that strawberry in the background seems to be carrying off the shadow pretty well from the muffin and stuff. Just a small thing. Yeah, overall, I think it's working pretty well. Yeah. And then maybe just a little bit more opacity on the back side of the glass.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's very good. Anyone else? Questions, comments for Mitchell? Gusto, do you have any thoughts on this?
Oh, I think it's pretty bold that you did the plate showing up that much, and I think is really cool.
Thank you.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you very much for sharing.
Yeah.
Nadine, are you able to present?
Yes.
All right, go for it. Okay, go ahead and talk to us about your design here.
So yeah, I added smaller
Mhm.
fruits in the front and then the larger ones in the back. And yeah, the most challenge part was the shadows.
Is this a different background or is this the one you had last time you shared?
It's different.
Okay. So the fruit plate is still the central figure in this composition, but I feel like maybe there might be a little bit too much background in here. Because if you like, I don't know, cut it in half, the fruit plate mass volume takes up probably about half the height of that. So what you might want to consider doing is cropping it down so that the fruit plate area is maybe about 2/3, and that's just off the top of my head. So it feels like it has more presence in it. I've had people before make their fruit plate really small and their background really big, and it just sort of diminishes what we're supposed to be really looking at. So, but otherwise, from what I can see, the shadows and lighting look pretty good on the plate. Uh, and it's definitely, you're getting better every time you work on this. It's looking really good. The one thing that pulls my eye out is in the back. I think it's on the green apples. I don't know if you put a drop shadow on those or something, but I would probably remove, if you did do a drop shadow, I would probably remove that. I can't quite tell it at this level because it almost looks a little bit like the background isn't real, like it's a canvas or something when you do that with an object. Kaylor, what questions or comments do you have on Nadine's composition here?
So I like the composition of it, but I kind of wish the glass was maybe a little bit further away from the plate to give a little more contrast.
Do you mean like further to the right of it?
Yeah, I kind of pushed the plate a little bit to the left and the glass a little bit to the
Okay.
right.
Yeah, I could see that. But I mean, I think your lighting work and shadow work is really getting better. Really good job, Nadine.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Nathan, are you able to present?
Yes, I am.
Okay, talk to us about this.
So I think the like the lighting in the background with the lighting is working well. And then the shadows, I played around with the shadows on the glass a little bit in the muffin. And I think they're all right, I guess. But then the glass in the muffin, the orange juice, I had trouble like just how it's like tilting towards the viewer a little bit too much.
Yeah, I still feel like, yeah, like kind of what Livia, she manipulated them, and I feel like the background is not on the same plane as your plate or muffin and juice. Like they're just not matching up. Um, and I also feel like there would be a little bit of a stronger shadow under the muffin, especially given the spacing with the glass. So maybe, and if there's anything that anyone hears from today or thinks about, and you want to resubmit it before today's over, please go ahead and do so because we're here to learn. Yeah, I don't feel like the perspective is quite right, and like the shadow. I think it's that background table surface that just isn't working as well as it could, and that you need some sort of close shadow under the muffin to really ground it a little bit more. Haley, what question or comment do you have on Nathan's composition here?
I like how he used a background that was kind of blurry, so then your eye goes toward the plate in the muffin cup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so, like, there's a lot of stock photography that specializes in this sort of thing so that you can use it, right, for products and things. Um, and so, Nathan, what did you say you're most proud of?
Probably just like the fruit placements.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And your strawberries definitely stand out more. All right, good job. Thank you.
Thanks.
Noah, are you able to present?
Yes, I am. 1 second.
All right. Well, this is
Right.
like a still life practically.
Oh, thank you. All right. Yeah, so I guess my biggest challenge I think was like creating a believable perspective just with the table especially, but then also just like placing the fruits together and organizing it in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing I think I like the most about it is the shadow and lighting that I did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's about all I got.
Okay. So I think overall it's pretty good. It's on the top right and top center of the table looks a little jagged on my computer.
Yeah.
And then let's see. I think you might need a little bit more reflection work under or shadow. I can't tell which. Under the banana area. Yeah, overall I think it's pretty good. And you definitely limited some of the challenges by how you place, you have a white background and things like that. But from what I can see of the juice, it looks good. Um, the shadowing of the leaves might be a little different in real life. Um, but I think overall it's pretty good.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Nathan, what question or comment do you have on Noah's project here?
I like that you like the chocolate. I like that you added that in there. That helps sort of break it the fruits up a little bit. The lighting is working well, I think also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good job. Thank you. All right. Olivia, are you able to present?
Yep. I can't share until.
All right. Go ahead and talk to us about this.
Okay. I feel like the best part was just arranging the fruits around. I had to substitute the cherries for my own image, and I feel like the reflection worked pretty well already on the cherries that I picked. But I feel like I should have made the reflections on the plate a little less dramatic, I guess. I feel like they're too.
For the green grapes?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they're a little bit too
Too there.
yes. Yeah. And the red cherry that's touching the green cherry, or
Mhm.
the red cherry touching the green grape, feels like it's occupying the same space a little bit.
Mhm.
But I do think the reflections work there in your strawberries. I think that strawberry in the back if you could make that a little bit more noticeable,
Hmm.
that would be good. And then I think we might see a little bit of shadow off of the leaf that's hanging off.
Oh yeah.
And like I feel like your shadows, given the lighting, I feel like the shadows on the juice and the plate would be a little bit stronger.
Okay.
And that maybe, I mean, this is always difficult to tell. Maybe the lighting, like the shadow on your glass, might be going behind the glass instead of in front of it.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah, but I think you've got very strong shadows between fruit that helps to differentiate it. Olivia, what question do you have for Olivia?
I like the leaves that are in there, but they're like not necessarily part of those grapes because I feel like they didn't really look good with those blue grapes. But I think they look nice on the plate.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's a good composition, and there's a good variation of colors and shapes. Yeah, I definitely agree that the grape reflection is a little bit too strong.
Yeah.
Yeah, great job. Thank you. Omar, are you able to present?
Yes.
All right. Okay, talk to us.
Okay, so uh, I struggle a lot with the cup.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to add some transparency to the top of the
Mm-hmm.
glass, but I couldn't make it. Um, at the same time, I think what I did right is the placement of the fruit, the muffin, and the reflection, I guess.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of good stuff going on here. What might be kind of working against you is having those large green apples kind of right in your face,
Mhm.
because it especially feels like there may not be enough room on the plate for them all, especially
Mm.
that one kind of towards the right. I feel like it's going to topple off.
Mm.
Uh, so that might be something to think about if you need to resize those or something, maybe.
Mm.
But I think there's some, like the strawberries and grapes and the kiwi are working pretty well. I still would prefer to see a little bit more shadow, like off of the plate, the cup and muffin.
Mhm.
And yeah, the transparency in the back of the cup, that's something that we can work on too. But
Yeah.
overall, I mean, there's a fair amount of stuff here. I like the grapes next to the muffin. I think for some reason that's very pleasing to my eye.
Yeah.
Yeah. Olivia, what question do you have for Omar?
Say Olivia.
Olivia, yep.
Um, I like how everything's arranged. I think everything kind of works well, kind of like in the golden spiral a little bit with the bananas and everything. I think the orange, like you can kind of tell the bottom is cut out a little bit, but like that's it.
Yeah, that's a good point. So someone's cat. So Omar, if you do go back and resize those apples, maybe take a look at the orange too,
Yeah.
because it looks like it's not quite sitting on the plate, like
Okay.
right underneath it. Yeah, that area underneath it doesn't quite. Like
Yeah.
maybe that's the banana. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but otherwise, I think it's coming together. So good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, Peyton, are you able to present?
Yeah. So can you see that?
All right, go ahead and talk to us.
So I think the thing that worked the best was I felt really good about how the placement of the plate on the background. I changed my background because I didn't really like what I had.
Mm-hmm.
And then the placement of the fruit I changed and I added a couple more strawberries and stuff and took stuff out. So, well, the thing that I didn't work the best or I didn't really like was the glass. I wanted that like it was like a film on it and I wanted it to be more clear. But like I understand like the picture quality and whatever. But I could have done something else. But yeah.
Yeah. The fruit on the plate seems much brighter than the overall background. So what I might consider doing is changing the brightness of one or the other, right? Possibly. I mean, I don't think it just seems like a really strong shift. I think your composition and your arrangement of things on the plate is really good. And those look like actual blueberries compared to those blue grape thingies that we're struggling
Yeah,
with.
that's the thing I found.
Yeah. I think if you look at it like I feel like some of the like you would need some more shadow underneath like that green apple and things
Mhm.
to kind of help with the lighting that you have on the top. But I think your arrangement is very good. It's very sort of symmetrical between the apple, the juice, and the muffin with that sort of area around it. So I think, and maybe this is just my eyes, but I feel like the grayness of the wood of that table or whatever seems like a really strong change from the plate. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. But I'm wondering if you added a little bit of like just to that wood background area, just like make a selection over it and go into like, I think it's hue in Photoshop, the adjustment layer, and change it to be a little bit reddish brown or something to kind of bring a little bit more color into it. Because I don't want you to over brighten the background too much. Overall, I think good composition, everything. Omar, what question or comment do you have on Peyton's composition here?
Overall is very good.
Thank you.
I like how she arranged the fruit, and I like the reflection as well. Everything is to me has look great. I like it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, just like a couple like shadows and things I think would help pop that. I hate saying that word. I shouldn't say that word. But I think once you look at it again, like it's just a little bit too bright under that apple and under the strawberry. But good job. Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah. Rachel, are you able to present?
Yep.
All right.
So for my project, I knew I wanted the bananas to kind of be the focal point and then build everything around that. So I kind of tried to use a triangle with having the bananas and then the green apples and the orange and then kind of build everything around that. I think my intention was for the table to kind of be like up against a painted wall, but I think that's not as successful now that I think about it. I think I'd change that. I think I'd also change out these blue things for a different image and altogether.
I like your opacity on your glass. Like that's you leave enough of the rim there at the top, right? So we can see that. I think he did a really great job cleaning that up, the muffin and everything, and the shadows are looking stronger. I think the grapes on the green apples, the shadow for my eyes doesn't quite look. It looks more like a drop shadow than like the shadow against the green apple would be different than the shadow against the strawberries and the shadow against the kiwi. So to my eyes, the green grapes shadow looks a little bit like just like a block shadow, a drop shadow from the whole thing. But I think overall the composition is very good. It's a nice balance, and the lighting is pretty good. Let's see. And so we're going to ask Peyton, what's a common or question that you have on Rachel's design here?
I think like you wanting to make the bananas the focal point, you like succeeded in that because when you first open it up, that's like the main thing I looked at. And the muffin and the cup, I like how you put a little napkin underneath that. That's cute.
Thanks.
Yeah. Makes it homey. Very cool. Thank you so much, Rachel. Ricardo, are you able to share with us?
Yep.
Awesome.
After seeing like everybody else's, I keep finding more and more things wrong with mine.
That's the curse and blessing of being a designer, right? Or any profession. You get better and then you see flaws and you're like, okay.
I'm kind of happy with the big shadow off to the left. I'm not sure if I'm too happy about the lighting. Like I don't know if all the fruits look together. There's a lot of background, and if I put it into proportion now, like that's a really big plate for that counter.
Yeah. So like when I look at this composition with the background, I see there's like gray pattern in the marble, I think. And at first my eyes think, oh, that's a weird shadow. But then I see like that ball, and then I see the fixture over the sink. And so it looks to me like the shadow that's coming off of those objects is fairly straight to the back, which is what you're sort of representing. But you see how it's that gradient. It's kind of a dark gray, and then it fades out fairly
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah.
That's what I would expect more in your plate shadow. Is like near the plate, it would be like that darker gray, and then it would fade out. And
Yeah.
like I think it was Galena or someone who talked about erasing it. So that's just something that you can work on definitely. And I agree that the lighting on your plate, you feel like the lighting on the grapes, which is fairly bright, works pretty well, but the rest of the lighting probably you would have like a strong brightness on the
Yeah.
one side, and then
Really
it would,
dark.
yeah, because of that, we see the lighting on the other objects in there. Um, but the composition is good. And compared to when we last saw your plate, you've done a lot of great work here. So I want to compliment you and everyone else on the progress that you're making on these things. So I also feel like maybe the banana feels like it's not as close to the far edge as it could be. Like I feel like you might have like an inch or two space beyond the banana. I don't know if
Okay.
that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so it feels like there's like maybe an empty space on top of the banana area when I
Mhm.
think you would want to have filled that in more.
Okay.
But I think you've come a long way on this, and I'm definitely glad that you continue to work on it. Rachel, what comment or question do you have for Ricardo here?
I really like how the banana kind of hugs the muffin and the grapes, and I really like that my eye went straight there, and I really like how that is laid out.
Yeah. Yeah. Food has an interesting connection to our lives. So it's really interesting to see what every student brings to their compositions for this. Um, thank you, Rachel. And thank you, Ricardo, for sharing this with us.
Yep. Thank you.
Ryan, are you able to present?
Yes, I am.
All right.
So I spent quite a lot of time on proportion and getting things set exactly where I want them. So I'm pretty happy on where everything is at, and I like how the plate is interacting with the background. I feel like it looks like it's sitting on the background. Um, I do wish I had spent more time on making a more realistic lighting and things like that, but overall I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah. I think your muffin, again, just nitpicking here, your muffin doesn't feel quite like it's sitting on the table yet. It's like almost there. But your shadows and things are good. Your lighting in the background would probably be a little bit duller than what's in front. And maybe there'd be a little bit more shine in that juice. Not sure. Overall, I think it's pretty good. Ricardo, what question or comment do you have on Ryan's composition here?
Like she said, I really like her proportions. That she did a really good job on that.
Yeah.
I also like the shadows that are on the banana that are coming off the glass and
Yeah.
the green grapes. Those are really good.
Yeah, I feel like Ryan has one of the stronger plate shadows in the group that I can remember. So with the lighting and everything, the shadow off of the plate seems pretty good, and I feel like the body of the muffin shadow is really good too. Yeah, I agree that she did a really good job with the proportions and things. All right, thank you, Ryan.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't see Seamus here, so I think we're done with those. Okay, so according to our schedule, the montage is due on Tuesday of next week, so a week from today. How is everyone doing with the montage project? You can speak in audio or in chat. I'm trying to get a sense of, you know, how far along do you think you are? Good? Doing okay? Okay. So Are people at like 50% ish, 80% ish? What I'm seeing in the chat is fairly positive. Okay. So do you think Tuesday? Okay. So you think you'll have your montage done on Tuesday? And then those of you who have been working, okay, so overwhelmingly it seems like there's a lot of yeses. Okay. So because I was considering swapping the collage and montage, but I really wanted you to focus on the montage, get that done. And then how are you doing on the collage? I know that I stressed that that was not as important. And it's fine if you haven't started. Yeah. So for those, I was just going to say, for those who did the collage, if you could remember approximately how long did it take for you to complete or almost complete it? If you have like a ballpark time estimate. Keaton or Mitchell?
To put everything where I actually like it and mask correctly, maybe in total anywhere from an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Okay.
That
Yeah.
was with some like outside of square or circle masking.
Right. So yeah, like the creative part, I want you to have fun with it. That might be like where it takes you an extra hour. I don't want anyone to spend like more than like 6 hours on it if possible, unless you find it very relaxing to do. But it shouldn't take you more than like, unless you're being really finicky and like shouldn't really take you more than 4 hours to do if unless something comes up, obviously. Um, but really focus on the montage. I'm really looking forward to seeing those. And I hope that everyone is doing okay, health wise, money wise, and everything. And just keep posting your progress for this Thursday update in Talon on the montage. And then on Tuesday, we're going to do a similar thing that we did today with the montage. Okay. And then Thursday, we're going to do a similar thing on the collage. Any questions about that? Was this okay today, what we did? Okay. Yeah. So perfect. So yeah, if you feel that you want to revise anything for your fruit plate today from what we talked about or anything later on, feel free to do so. Just get it in before midnight tonight. And then I'm going to start catching up on grading tomorrow before I head out of town. But go ahead and do the best that you can. Stay safe. And I look forward to hearing from you and talking to you again next Tuesday. So thank you all very much and take care, all right?